we weren't all that well known over here. But we soon found out that Britain and about 200 other countries were ready to watch a show about talking frogs, kissing pigs, joke-telling bears, and guest stars who never knew what might happen next. Here's how it went for me, with the help of a few of my friends.
If the phrase cutting edge hadn't been invented, I'll throw it at you now and explain it. Cutting edge, the Muppets, you bet, yeah.
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the light. It's time to meet the Muppets on the Muppet Show tonight.
Muppets are cool. Muppets get the iced tea cool.
It's time to put on makeup. It's time to dress up right. It's time to raise the curtain on the Muppet Show tonight.
But we really felt we were ready to take on the world. We just weren't quite sure if the world was ready for us.
It was a group of animals who had to put on a stage show for an audience of freaks.
What sort of show was it? Sort of weird, I guess.
I think it went out Sundays at 6.
Well, that was appointment TV.
The appeal of not watching Songs of Praise, I suppose.
Who are you behind that mask? And well, you might ask. Good grief.
In the States, they were softened up because the Muppets were on Saturday Night Live originally. But here, they came fully formed, these wisecracking, mad animals who were both confused and knew all the angles.
Hi, Miss Piggy. Have you seen Kermit?
Many times, dear.
You know, I think the Muppet Show was so popular because people just liked seeing what strange, silly nonsense we'd come up with each week.
Come on, I know you're tight. Come on, you're tight.
I remember watching it and thinking this is actually very sophisticated because there's a lot of verbal humour in it.
Stick.
Stick, Dr. Bob.
Fetch. What's that all about? That's my laboratory retriever.
For me, that kind of Bob Hope, old vaudeville-style delivery, which is, of course, a style in itself, but the lines have to be funny.
She's right. I saved over 500 last year. What, patients? No, dollars. Of course, I also lost over 100 pounds. What, in weight? No, in England.
An adult can take a child to see Peter Pan and they'll both be entertained. And the same is true of the Muppets.
Programmes which seem to be for children actually are quite often in their material for adults. It goes all the way through from the Muppets, I think, all the way through to The Simpsons.
Think about this, friends.
Kermit is a very sophisticated character. You know, he's like Woody Allen.
Tonight should be a real bang-up affair.
Did somebody say bang?
No.
Gee, describing the cast is sort of a tough one, but, well, you have to start out with Miss Piggy because, well, it's in her contract, you have to start out with her.
That vamp that was supposed to be, was a cow, right?
It's a pig.
Miss Piggy. No, not a cow, a pig.
Roger, I'm so glad you asked me up here.
Well, actually, I didn't ask you.
Oh, Roger, mon amour, you know we are meant to be.
A kind of emblematic, I suppose, of a relationship between men and women, which was often played out in British sitcoms. There was often the overbearing woman. You can think of, you know, Are You Being Served? Or we think of Mrs. Mannering, you know, in Dad's Army. And these were, you know, overbearing women with little men.
Time for decisive action.
I've got some flour.
That should be decisive enough.
And Fozzie, of course, is probably the greatest stand-up bear in the world. What he lacks in good material, he more than makes up in perseverance.
Love you all, yeah. Oh, it's going to be a great night tonight,
Yeah, somewhere, but not here.
And Beaker, of course.
Doing his experiments.
Beaker was just great. And his mouth was going up.
Drummer was wonderful. I can't remember his name now.
Animal, you know, and I bet loads of people have said they like Animal, don't they?
Animal is the drummer in the Electric Mayhem Band. He's the quintessential rock and roll artiste. You know, the kind of out-there free spirit who makes Keith Richards look tame.
The Swedish Chef. Making everyone believe that this is the way the Swedes sound. Doody-doody-doody-hurdy-gurdy. Which is not true.
On behalf of all the Muppets, I wish to apologize to each and every one of them for any damage we may have caused to them or their careers.
Well, I'm tonight's guest star, Roger Moore.
Kermit, I am your guest!
This is your guest!
Taking a quite well-known performer, desensitising and demystifying the performer and making them part of this joke was an extraordinary thing to see.
What is that?
It's my new act. Gonzo fiddles while George burns.
Since I'd worked with the Muppets on the American show Saturday Night Live, I insisted that I be in it.
Miss Piggy!
I was the mayor of the town that Kermit was passing through when he discovered Miss Piggy.
Thank you.
Because she won the beauty contest, and Kermit fell in love with her. It's great. No, the Muppets, I think, are fabulous.
My favourite thing of all time was they did a spoof of an operating theatre, and the voiceover would come out, you know, in this week's episode or whatever, and they'd all look up.
And so we come to the end of another veterinarian's hospital.
Good!
Wondering where the voice came from. That's never not funny.
You couldn't figure out how they did it, because they were so alive.
I'd just be incredibly disappointed, to discover that they were manipulated by hands and, mechanical bits. I'd just rather keep them as real life, which they are.
Listen, if I'm not real, I couldn't do this. I don't know.
Do you think this show is educational?
Yes, it'll drive people to read books.